But let's actually talk about the actual game, Rudy. I think both you and I kind of understand this is going to be a lopsided affair, not because of the 21-point differential, but because ESPN players to watch. This is who they're telling everyone to keep an eye out for this game. FSU, it's their punter. And for Miami, it is Cam Ward. And whenever you're comparing FSU's punter to our Cam Ward, it's going to be a blowout. It's going to be a bloodbath. So, and I'm not saying that like as a homer, like just to let you guys know, like FSU is tied for 89th in passing yards, averaging passing yards. They're 131st in rushing yards and then 133rd in points, which basically means they are scraping the bottom of the barrel, and they're tied for second worst in turnover margin, which like just if you guys didn't see the Duke game, there were literally 3 straight drives where they turned the ball over. So this is a really
on 3 plays.
Yeah, 3 consecutive plays, which is a really, really bad thing. And so I think we know this there couldn't be a bigger mismatch in terms of rivalries this season. I mean, even Oklahoma, we didn't know how bad they were going to be, but I thought people thought that Oklahoma would give Texas a run for their money. I mean, Auburn always plays Alabama pretty decent for at least a half. And then, you go down the list of people and rivalries that go through, but this is very unique in the sense that no one. I mean, when I tell you I have poured over easily like 2 to 3 hours of podcasts and interviews, and there is not a single person who watches sports who's giving, even Locked On FSU and the FSU war chant or war channel, whatever the hell they're called. Even they're like, this is going to be a blowout. This is going to be a bloodbath. But I think one particular area that's going to be interesting will be FSU's wide receivers versus Miami's secondary, because that's going to be the Timmy Jimmy fight. Because we can't defend anyone and they can't catch a ball if their lives depended on it.
I love how good you are at fitting in a Timmy Jimmy reference in every single episode.
It's like, my goal, bro.
Be like, if we can fit in multiple Timmy Jimmy fight references in an episode, we're doing our job.
And if you guys don't know what Timmy versus Jimmy is, please go look that up. Look up South Park Timmy versus Jimmy. It is one of the greatest episodes. It's definitely on the Mount Rushmore with like World of Warcraft for South Park episodes. Like it is just amazing. It's a great episode. So Rudy, what do you think? Let's just create some hypotheticals, because I think, again, we both know this is going to be a bloodbath. How does FSU keep it competitive, or how do they potentially win?
They're going to have to completely recreate the Cal game and the Virginia Tech game combined. So they would need that defense that in the preseason had a lot of hype in terms of being one of the best front fours in the country to actually start playing like it, which they would also need some help from defensive backs, because, that was the big mismatch in the Virginia Tech, game that really helped Virginia Tech in terms of taking advantage of some struggles on Miami's offense for part of like mostly the first half in terms of just sitting on short routes and, playing some really great defense. So they would need that to happen. And they need to come with such a great game plan in terms of getting the ball out quickly and having their 2 rotating, revolving quarterbacks. One's a redshirt freshman, the other one's a true freshman, who both look like deer in the headlights with really bad offensive line. But hey, Cal has statistically one of the worst offensive lines in the ACC. And they threw all over the place on Miami because they were able to get the ball out quickly and take advantage of a lot of miscommunication in the secondary. So if they can recreate that, Miami's been having trouble defensively to put it together for all 4 quarters. In some cases, they struggle to put it together for a full quarter. But they do enough to get 1 or 2 stops, which is all really Miami's offense really needs. So that's what they would have to do. That and, burn a bunch of candles, make some Cam Ward voodoo dolls, start putting pins in it, hope that maybe someone other than Mike Norvell runs to practice. Because I don't know if anyone else saw that clip of him like in his trainers,
sprinting
in his work with the FSU logo as the O, like sprinting out, and his like punter and his kicker are just like, oh, here we go again. I'll just go kick a bunch of field goals because I'll be the only one putting up points ever if they can get me inside the 50.
I mean, their punter is a goat. He is really, really good. And their kicker's not that bad, I mean, which you don't get to say. Well, our generation doesn't get to say too much about FSU. I think what I'm keeping an eye out for is it's similar to what you're saying about utilizing what Virginia Tech and Cal did, which is utilizing screen passes, waggles, and sweeps, getting to the outside, getting their quarterback who is going to get chased down out of the pocket and moving because I think we haven't really been playing too much press, our cornerbacks. We've been playing a few yards off and then making the play off that, which is what's created, I think, some of these explosive plays. And so if FSU can get these really quick wide receiver screen passes, get the running back to dip out, I think that's where they can get some yardage and kind of keep themselves in the game and keep their defense off the field. I don't think they're going to score a lot because I've already given you the stats. They're not good at scoring. But I think they also need to kind of give some unique formations for their wide receivers, maybe stack 2-3 wide receivers, just do something very different that has not seen, that they have maybe not shown. I think they really need to open up their playbook. I mean, there is not a play that's out of bounds right now. You've got to use anything and everything, including trick plays, like whatever it is. I want to see the annexation of Puerto Rico. I want to see the Statue of Liberty. I want to see flea flickers, like they're like play action pass. Like, I mean, they're going to need that. I think another key is utilizing their two massive tight ends. They have these two tight ends who are 6'6" and 6'3" and 240. And I mean, I mean, if you get those guys out there, I mean, don't get me wrong, Kiko's about the same size, but I mean, Kiko hasn't been doing that well when it comes to one-on-one tackling. So in the last couple of games, so that kind of worries me. So I think if they can get those tight ends involved quickly, they can get these, again, run plays or quick action plays to the outside where you can kind of neutralize the Tyler Barons, the Ruben Baines, because that's where it really is going to be. We know this. Our secondary is not good, but if Florida State can give themselves even just a second or two longer than what other teams have gotten, I think they can really kind of stay in this game. I don't think they're going to stay in the sense that they're going to make it competitive. I don't think this is going to be competitive whatsoever. But instead of losing by 21, maybe they lose by 14 or 17. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's realistically where they go with that. Do you have any score predictions, Rudy?
Oof, I hate giving score predictions, not because of anything of like, it's all just bad juju for me.
That's
true. Like if I give something, but I'll give you one.
Let's go.
You one. Here's the thing. So you were talking about like scoring and like offense is like 133rd on that for FSU. They're the only team in FBS Division I college football to score 21 points or less every game.
Yeah, the highest they've scored in any game is 21 points.
21. I'm going to be really embarrassed if Miami is a team that gives up more than 21 points to Florida State.
Oof, yeah.
So I'm going to give them 21. And I am hoping that it's going to be even worse than the score that I say it is. But I'm going to say it's going to be like 41-21. And I'm hoping that it's a hell of a lot worse. Because, look, if you give Cam Ward only like 6 possessions, he's going to score touchdowns in all 6 possessions because it's just what he does. Like it's impossible to score in every single drive, but he finds a way to just put points up on the board with his offense.
Yeah, I think for me, okay, so let me just say this really quick, just so like when we get back on Sunday and we talk about this wrap up, that like it's not like deer in headlights. So listen, I'm not going to sit here and say there's like 0 chance that FSU is gonna win. There's always a chance, right, that FSU could win. I mean, this thing could go horribly for I mean, we could see Cam Ward throwing pick 6 right off the rip. We could see an easy fumble off the 20, which could end up giving FSU the ball at the 10 or 15, which would be very similar to what happened to the Georgia-Texas game, where Texas just could not get Georgia on their side of the field. It's just like Georgia kept playing on Texas's side of the field, and they just, even though their offense was semi-inept, they just were able to score because they were starting at the Texas like 35 or midfield. And so if FSU's punter can keep them in the game like that, and they can play the field that way, I think FSU. That's how I think FSU wins this game. But again, it would require a fluke of Cam Ward having a sub, I would say 200-yard game. Like if Cam Ward's held to less than 200 and let's say 50 yards, 200 yards, I think it's probably going to be a loss. And if the rushing, because FSU does have a good D line. Let's not. That's the only saving grace of that team is their D line. So if they hold Damian Martinez and the rest of the gang to, I would say, under 200 yards also, yeah, I mean, I see FSU winning this. I mean, it's a possible, but again, it's going to require a lot of things to go their way.